Star forward LeBron James' decision to depart the Miami Heat in free agency in the summer of 2014 marked the conclusion of the most fruitful era in the franchise's history. Miami reached the championship series in every one of James' 4 seasons with the organization and took home 2 NBA titles. After James left the Heat to reunite with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Miami Dolphins owner Stephen Ross boldly said that the Dolphins were capturing the imagination of South Florida. Ross made the comments in the summer of 2015. It's been about a decade since then, but the Heat reportedly have never forgotten what Ross said, according to 5 Reasons Sports' Ethan J. Skolnick. In 2014, after LeBron left, Steve Ross said the Dolphins were capturing the imagination of this town, Skolnick wrote via Discord. The Heat have never forgotten that comment. The Heat haven't won a title since James left all those years ago, but they've knocked on the door of a championship on more than one occasion. Miami has represented the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals twice since then in 2020 and 2023, and the Heat made another deep run to the Eastern Conference Finals in the 2022 NBA playoffs. While the Heat have consistently been one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference over the last decade or so, the Dolphins haven't had the same success. The last time they won a playoff game was all the way back in 2000. The Dolphins started their 2025 season off on a less-than-stellar note as well, as the team got embarrassed in its Week 1 contest against the Indianapolis Colts over the weekend. There were no real positive takeaways for Miami in the 33-8 loss, as its defense was porous and its offensive unit looked totally out of whack. There's no real debate about whether the Heat or Dolphins have been the more successful franchise since Ross made those comments, but with any luck, there will be brighter days ahead for Ross' organization. Hopefully, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, wide receiver Tyreek Hill, and the Dolphins won't let their poor performance from Week 1 carry over into the games to follow. Miami will seek its first win of the new campaign when it takes on the New England Patriots in Week 2. The Patriots are on the heels of a 7-point loss to the Las Vegas Raiders. In a surprising twist, a former Golden State Warriors player has shed light on the potential departure of Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat. The comment, made during a recent interview, has raised eyebrows and ignited speculation about the state of the Heat's locker room dynamics. Implications of the hint. The remark from the ex-Warriors star suggests that Butler's time in Miami may not be as secure as once thought. Given Butler's pivotal role in the Heat's recent playoff runs, any indication of unrest could have serious implications for the franchise. The Heat have been known for their strong culture and commitment to team cohesion, making any hint of internal strife particularly noteworthy. Jimmy Butler's impact on the Heat. Butler has been a cornerstone of the Miami Heat since joining the team, leading them deep into the playoffs and establishing himself as a leader on and off the court. His work ethic and competitive spirit have been essential in shaping the team's identity. However, the pressures of high expectations and the pursuit of a championship can often lead to dissatisfaction among players, especially if results do not meet aspirations. The state of the Heat's locker room. The comment from the former Warriors player raises questions about the current atmosphere within the Heat's locker room. Are there underlying tensions? Is there a disconnect between Butler and the team's management or coaching staff? Such inquiries could reflect broader challenges the Heat may face as they look to maintain their competitive edge in the Eastern Conference. Looking ahead. As the offseason approaches, the Miami Heat will need to navigate these rumors carefully. Butler's future, intertwined with the franchise's ambitions, will be a focal point for fans and analysts alike. The organization must address these concerns head-on, ensuring that any potential rifts are mended before they escalate further. In this evolving narrative, all eyes will be on Butler and the Heat as they prepare for the next chapter in their quest for NBA supremacy. Larsson has proven a lot this offseason, but there may not be a bigger message that he's sent the Miami Heat than the fact that he deserves a much larger role with the team heading into his sophomore season. But, as is often the case, that may not be as simple as it seems. Larsson has had an exceptional offseason that began with a strong showing in the NBA's Summer League. Somehow, Larsson managed to raise the bar for himself with an even more impressive performance over 5 games in the Eurobasket tournament with Team Sweden. Larsson would go on to lead them into the knockout round, which is rare for Sweden, while averaging 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists on 46% shooting from the field overall. He's answered almost every question the Heat challenged him with heading into this offseason, and it should lead to a shot at breaking the everyday rotation for the team. Larsson still has work to do to win over Erik Spoelstra. But ultimately, despite his strong summer, that will likely be decided by what he's able to continue showing during training camp. It's one thing for Larsson to look impressive during the summer against, with all due respect, lesser competition. It's an entirely different thing for Larsson to prove his worth in training camp in preseason. You'd have to imagine that's going to be the next goal for Larsson. Should he excel in training camp and in preseason, that's when we can start seriously placing him ahead of a few other veterans in the Heat's rotation. Here's the bottom line. Davion Mitchell, Tyler Herro, Andrew Wiggins, Kel'el Ware, Bam Adebayo, Norman Powell, and Nikola Jovic are clearly ahead of Larsson in the rotation. That leaves Larsson in the mix with 4 or 5 other players fighting for 2 or 3 rotation spots. No matter how impressive Larsson looked in the summer, Larsson will certainly have his work cut out for him to prove to Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra that he deserves a consistent spot in the rotation. I don't think there is any question that Larsson deserves a bigger role for the Heat and more responsibility this season. However, SPO will certainly have his hands full in solving the team's rotation. Larsson should factor into it one way or another, but predicting exactly what his role will be right now is fool's gold. The Miami Heat are exploring the possibility of reuniting with former player Precious Achiuwa, as reported recently by Ira Winderman of the Sun Sentinel. Akaiwa's journey since leaving Miami. Akaya, who was drafted by the Heat in the first round of the 2020 NBA Draft, was part of a significant trade that sent him, along with veteran Goran Dragic, to the Toronto Raptors in exchange for star point guard Kyle Lowry. During his brief tenure in Miami, Akaya showcased glimpses of his potential, averaging 5.0 points, 3.4 rebounds, and 0.5 assists over 61 games. Since departing Miami, Akaya has continued to evolve as a player. He spent time with the Raptors and even had a stint with the New York Knicks before entering free agency this offseason. Heat's roster needs and the impact of Akaya's return. With the Heat facing a power void on their roster, the interest in Akaya is timely. The team's need for depth and versatility in the front court is heightened, especially given the shifting dynamics within their lineup. The ongoing situation surrounding Terry Rozier is also complicating Miami's roster decisions, making Akaya's potential return even more relevant. As the offseason unfolds, the Heat's pursuit of Akaya reflects their ongoing commitment to strengthening the team and addressing their needs. The prospect of bringing back a player who has previously donned the Miami jersey adds an intriguing layer to their offseason strategy. Akaya's development since his last days with the Heat may provide the spark Miami is looking for as they aim to fill critical gaps in their roster. The coming weeks will be pivotal in determining whether this reunion becomes a reality.